I'm a professional musician. I've shared the stage with performers from Yo-Yo Ma to Smokey Robinson. So having a stroke before my 38th birthday was not in the plans. I'm Ruth Rowland, the Fiddle Geek, with 3 major steps that helped me play again. These steps aren't just for people recovering from paralysis. They're for any string player who feels stiffness or even just awkwardness when they're playing their instrument. If this interests you, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos on playing with ease. Some strokes are so sneaky you don't even know you're having them. This was not that kind of stroke. It came on slowly, but I knew something was off and was able to call my friend to come watch our children. I was able to call my husband to just let him know what was going on. He ended up coming straight home. And when the ambulance got to us, my whole right side was melting. And by the time I woke up in the intensive care unit, my right side was paralyzed, completely paralyzed. I couldn't move at all. And my speech was gone. I couldn't talk. I was walking and talking, I think, before the end of the week, but it took over a month for me to be able to shrug my right shoulder, and that was the first motion I had in my right upper body. Months later, when I was able to hold my bow and put it on the violin, I sounded worse than my worst student, which gave me hope because that meant I could teach myself to play better. If even my worst student sounded better than I did, I could teach myself to play better than I was playing then. The first thing I really needed to address was my bow hold because it not only felt stiff, and I knew that stiffness was being communicated to my sound, but plus being so stiff was almost painful. It made my fingers ache. So I thought to myself, if only I had a cushion around the frog of my bow to make it feel more like a stuffed animal. And then I thought, okay, there's no reason that I can't hold a stuffed animal like I hold a bow. And so I asked my son whether I could borrow one of his stuffed toys and just held it like a bow. One exercise that really helped me a lot is I took my thumb and squeezed upward like I do when I'm playing to adjust the pressure, the weight, the amount of weight that's on my bow. Just some squeeze, and then I'd rest and squeeze and rest. And another exercise I would do, it's not really an exercise, I would just pet my fingers. I call this pat the bow hole so that they feel more comfortable on the bow. These 2 exercises made me feel so much more comfortable because I've been playing since I was 4 or 5, and I don't remember the bow feeling foreign to me like it does for many of my older students or adult students. And it just put me in their place, and I realized that this was very helpful. And I linked below to my entire book of games. You can find the whole array. These are games that helped me. There are over 100 of them at the link below. The next thing I wanted to address was the bow's path in order to draw a straight bow, because our body moves in circles. But in order to draw a straight bow, in order to make the bow go straight, we need to use different parts of our body and different parts of the bow. And the transition point changes depending on what string you're on and how far you are over the fingerboard. And even if you move your violin a fraction of an inch in front of you, that's going to change where the transition point is. And it's very fussy, and it would have taken me a lifetime to relearn where that was in every instance. But I came up with this shortcut. It was never made explicit for me that the string wants the bow to go straight. So if you just don't fight it, if you just ride it, that's going to solve all of your issues for having a straight bow. I just let the bow find its own path, and my sound was back instantly. And this was confirmed for me about a year after the stroke. I played a solo piece with a choir, and somebody came up to me who didn't know I had had a stroke. She came up to me and said, "I always love it when you play. You have such a warm tone." She didn't know by my playing. She couldn't tell that I had had the stroke, which, believe me, right after I had had it, you could tell. you could tell that something was up. But she thought I was my old self, which was really wonderful. I still can't do everything I used to be able to do with the bow. So I'm still working, I'm still improving, but I always remember her comment when I'm working and when the going is tough. I think, okay, I did that. I can get this next half an inch of technique. So I told you how I found comfort in my bow. I told you how I learned to ride the bow to make sure that it was always going straight and giving me a beautiful tone. The third major improvement, major step that made a drastic improvement in my playing was actually not to do with the playing itself. When I first started playing, I could play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I could play Mary Had a Little Lamb. I could play, I don't know if I could play anything else, actually. I could play those two pieces because they were very familiar to me. But anything else, any of my old tunes that I used to be able to play, they were gone. And I couldn't remember how they played and then have that sound come out of my violin. It was just not happening. So I put some music up on the stand and tried to read. When I did that, the notes would just float off the page, and it was very distressing. I had always been able to play pretty much anything by ear. That was part of my identity, so I definitely wanted that skill back. But I had worked really hard to be able to read music, and I had been a good music reader for the past 15, 20 years. And so I really wanted that skill as well. And I got them both back by playing little recordings of little snippets and imitating it on the violin, writing down what I had played, and then playing what I had written, checking it against the recording, and going back and forth that way. The snippets got longer and longer until eventually I was transcribing entire fiddle solos, which was extremely satisfying and very useful. If you would like to improve your music reading, or maybe you haven't started reading music yet, my Note Reading for Fiddlers playlist is a great place to start. See you there.